listening to, I say you are listening to, you are absolutely listening to the George Espinlove Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm. Now, with no further ado, here comes Georgie!
Clap for you, too. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. That's just amazing. To all of our friends down the street, around the corner, across this great nation, and around the world, thank you for tuning in to the George Espinlove Show that comes to you live from the Funny Farm. That's right, from the Funny Farm in a place called Our World. And as we say so very, very often, we have no idea where our world is. We just live here, and nothing else seems to bother us. And besides, it's a whole lot safer in our world than it is in yours. So I invite you, come on in, become a full-fledged loon. Here you can let your hair down, you can express yourself, you can move, you can find your groove, and you can become just as simple as the rest of us. In fact, that is our goal around here. We have a twofold goal. One is to bring a smile to your face, even if it's only for a little while. And the other is to make you just about as crazy as the rest of us around here on the Funny Farm. So, enjoy yourself, because we are. And now you are in our world. We have a guest tonight. We've had him on twice before. But the other morning, as I was riding down the road, I was listening to the Jim Bohanna show that I listen to every morning out of Atlanta. And lo and behold, here come my friend, Mike Vilardi. And Jimbo was interviewing him, and I thought, I got to get up with Mike. With the recent scandal that broke involving the IRS, we, the American people, are asking a lot of questions, and we want answers to every one of us. And there's not a more qualified individual that I know of that can answer those questions than Mr. Mike Vilardi. And I thank him for being with us tonight, and we're going to bring him on the show right now. But first, I want you to write this phone number down, 302-497-3414. That is our call-in number. If you want to make any comments or ask Mike any questions, please do so by calling 302-497-3414 or George.Espinlove on your Skype. George.Espinlove, Espenlaub. That number one more time is 302-497-3414. And after we get going a little bit, we'll open up the phone lines. But I wanted you to get that phone number right off the get-go. So here we go. We're going to bring Mike on. Mike, thank you for being on the George Espinlove Show.
Hey, George, thanks for having me.
With everything that's going on, and I told our audience as I was riding down the road the other morning, it was after 5 o'clock here, all of a sudden, lo and behold, I heard my friend Mike Vilardi on the Jim Bohanna show. And I thought, man, who knows anything better about the IRS and what's going on than Mike Vilardi? And so here you are, my friend, and I'm glad you made it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, George.
Our government, I call it a big onion. I mean a real big onion. And there's so many layers to it. No one knows what's underneath the next layer that knows what the next layer is doing and the other layer under that and so on and so forth. But Mike, you've been on the inside and you worked for the IRS, on the criminal side for over 20 years, right?
Yeah, 22 years I was with CID. That's correct.
So if anyone knows the ins and the outs of the IRS, it would be you. First of all, tell us about your business.
Well, when I left the IRS and I retired in 2010, I became what's called an enrolled agent, which gives me a license to practice before the IRS and represent people. And I've had a lot of success in representing people that have had issues with the IRS, like, overly aggressive revenue officers or problems with audits or stuff like that. And people could check out my credentials and check out the testimonial letters that I have posted at my website, which is www.Vilardi, VILARDIEA, MikeVilardiEA.com, or simply call me if you'd like to talk to me and leave a message at 888-873-8825. That's 888-873-8825. I've had some really tremendous success stories. I just saved a client the other day that saved $250,000. So I can definitely help people who have issues.
That EA, that stands for Enrolled Agent. And what does that mean, Mike?
That means you got to be licensed to practice before the Internal Revenue Service. Not everybody can do it. So in order for you to be licensed, you have to either have experience, like having worked for them, or you have to take a very comprehensive exam, like a CPA-type exam, to prove your qualifications.
And do you actually, if need be, can you go to court with your client?
In order to go to tax court, I'd have to take a separate test.
Mm-hmm.
But all my cases, I'm able to settle at the appeals level, or have been able to settle without having to go to court. I mean, because there are different layers. I mean, if you go through an audit, first you can see if you can agree with the revenue agent, and if you don't, then you go to the appeals level, and then you have the opportunity to agree with them. And I've been able to get everything settled without ever having to go to tax court.
When let me give blah blah blah. I'll get it right. Let me give our listeners your number again. It's 888-873-8825. Is that correct?
That's correct. 888-873-8825.
And ladies and gentlemen, if the IRS is bumping up against you, this is the man to call. Go to his website, MikeVilardiEA.com. That's VILARDI, MikeVilardiEA.com. Well, Mike, with this scandal that's going on, and just to mention the IRS causes great fear and trepidation without a scandal amongst us normal people out here.
Very true, it does. No, they could be a handful to deal with, no question about it. And something like this just raises the fear level even higher.
This IRS, which is part of the Treasury, they have a tremendous amount of power and authority, don't they?
No question about it. Absolutely, they do. They do.
So when they come knocking at your door, I've been audited once, and I know that sick, knotted up feeling that you get in the pit of your stomach when you see that word audit. I can't imagine and I hear a lot of these horror stories or read some of these stories that takes place. I just can't imagine what these people go through. But with this scandal, how far up the ladder do you think it goes, Mike? Can you even answer that question?
Yeah, let's do this. I have the report in front of me. And if anybody would like to read the report that was done by the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration, they can get it one of two ways. They can go to the treasury.gov/TIGTA, which is TIGTA, or they can go to TIGTA, TIGTA.gov/audit reports. It's under the audit report section for May of 2013. And I'm going to just read from some of the highlights so that your listeners could get a good understanding of what was found and what was done. Okay? And I'm going to read right from the report what it says under what TIGTA actually found. And let me just give you a little background first as to why this thing got started. It got started because a couple of groups were getting these responses from the IRS asking for more and more information that was not related in any way to taxes. Okay, Facebook requests, who your donors are, all this stuff. One of them went to Congress. Congress asked TIGTA to do this investigation. Okay, and basically they did the investigation because there was three things that Congress was concerned about. Number one, that targeted specific groups applying for tax-exempt status. There were certain groups, like Tea Party groups, that were targeted. Secondly, that there were delays in processing of these targeted applications. And third, there was requests for unnecessary information from these targeted groups. Now, TIGTA did find that all to be true, and I'm going to read from the report and what it says. It says the following. The IRS used inappropriate criteria that identified for review Tea Party and other organizations applying for tax-exempt status based upon their names or policy positions instead of indications of potential political campaign intervention. And they cited ineffective management that allowed three things to happen. Number one, it allowed inappropriate criteria to be developed and stay in place for more than 18 months. Two, it resulted in substantial delays in processing certain applications. And three, allowed unnecessary information requests to be issued. That's what happened. Now, it goes on to say, although the processing of some applications with potential significant political campaign intervention was started soon after receipt, no work was completed on the majority of these applications for 13 months. This was due to delays in receiving assistance from the exempt organization function headquarters office. And here's what the numbers were. For the 296 total political campaign intervention applications TIGTA reviewed as of December 17, 2012, 108 had been approved. 28 were withdrawn by the applicant. None had been denied, and 160 were open from 206 to 1,138 calendar days, some for more than 3 years and crossing 2 election cycles. So that's pretty much what was found. Now, what does that tell us? That tells us specifically that TIGTA had taken his, and I'll read it again, this one sentence. This was due to delays in receiving assistance from the exempt organization function headquarters office. That takes it back to Washington, and specifically, we have to look at, the person who was in charge during that period of time. All right, now currently, it's a woman named Lois Lerner. But Lois only took over recently. Before that, it was a woman named Sarah Paul Ingram. Now, she was responsible for tax-exempt organizations from 2009 to 2012. What happened after 2012 was she was promoted, received a bonus of $109,000, and left to serve as director of the IRS's Affordable Care Act Division. Okay? So, what these hearings need to focus on is that office. Now, my understanding is tomorrow, Lois Lerner, who is the head of that office, is supposed to give testimony. However, her attorney has said that she's going to assert her Fifth Amendment right, in part due to allegations made by the committee chairman, Darrell Issa, that she provided false and misleading information to Congress the last time that she testified. So that tells me they're not going to get anything out of her.
Uh-huh.
What needs to happen here, of course, is they need to bring the other woman in, who's, Sarah Hall Ingram, and find out what happened under her watch.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Tidbit report clearly identifies that no work was done for 13 months because of Washington. The Washington office.
Right.
And she was in charge of that office. So, as an investigator, I want to see those emails. I want to see the letters that went out to the field. What caused this delay? What was said? And what was the direction given by Washington?
Their first their first explanation was that it was just some low-level employees at the Cincinnati office that does this type of work, and they just made a bad mistake. Isn't that how they said it at first, or something like that?
Yeah, right, exactly. The problem with that is, there was an investigation done, and the investigation is found online, and you can read the report. Mm-hmm. And when you read the results of the report, it doesn't say anything about Cincinnati causing it. It says this goes right back to Washington. That's what it says. And so, the cover story that the administration put out there is, hey, it was done out of Cincinnati. But what the Treasury Inspector General found was that, and again, I'll read it, this was due to delays in receiving assistance from the exempt organization's function headquarters office.
Now,
that's where they put the ball.
In order for this to take place, and specific groups are the targets, in order for this to take place, someone somewhere has to give the word somehow to people that's underneath them to do this thing, don't they?
Yeah, well, I mean, here's something else that isn't, coming absolutely. I mean, there has to be direction. That's why they have to take a look at the emails or the correspondence that were disseminated while, during that period of time. I mean, the Spreaker report found in their investigation that this started in early calendar year 2010. Here's what it says. Impact on tax. But early in calendar year 2010, the IRS began using inappropriate criteria to identify organizations applying for tax-exempt status to review for indications of significant political campaign intervention. So they got a starting point. Now, the other thing that was done was that there was a group of senators that, including, Senator Schumer, Max Backus, Al Franken, who wrote a letter to Congress asking them to take a look at these Tea Party people. They were considering some sort of legislation for whatever reason. And that's kind of, I could see that, if you got a group of senators that are coming forward and they're saying to the IRS, hey, we want you to look at this, that possibly the IRS would act based on, what the senators wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a coincidence that, they had put together this group of senators requesting that, and then all of a sudden, we find out that this was being done. It's being done on a very large scale, if you will.
Was these senators all Democrats or Republicans, or were they mixed?
Well, I mean, I am looking. There's the article. I have it right here. I'll read it to you. Flashback: Schumer, Frank, and urged IRS to target Tea Party in 2012. Of course, all this started a little earlier than that, back in 2010, but here's what it wrote. The IRS's admission last Friday that had singled out Tea Party and other groups for extra audits and delays has raised concern that President Barack Obama's administration quietly attempted to stymie opponents through intimidation. With many prominent Democrats, including Montana Senator Max Baucus, Americans United for the Separation of Church and State, and the New York Times editorial board, have been publicly calling for tighter restrictions on 501c4 groups affiliated with the Tea Party and conservatives. Last year, Schumer, along with Democrat Senators Michael Bennet, Sheldon Whitehouse, Jeff Merkley, Tom Udall, Jan Shaheen, and Al Franken penned a letter calling on the agency to cap the amount of the political spending by groups masquerading as social welfare organizations. And a press release from Schumer's office dated March 12, 2012, laid out the terms of the letter. The senator said the lack of clarity in the IRS rules has allowed political groups to improperly claim 501c4 status and may even be allowing donors to these groups to wrongly claim tax deductions for their contributions. Senators promised legislation if the IRS failed to act to fix these problems. We urge the IRS to take these steps immediately to prevent abuse of the tax code by political groups focused on federal election activities. But if the IRS is unable to issue administrative guidance in this area, then we plan to introduce legislation to accomplish these important changes, the senators wrote.
I find it interesting, and correct me if I'm wrong, they mentioned the words political groups, not mentioning either party, but yet somehow in all this mess, it was the Tea Party, people with patriot in their names. It was all conservative groups that was targeted, isn't it?
Yes, that's very true. I'll read you something Franken had wrote. I think there hasn't been enforcement by the FEC and IRS, and so there are entities that are taking a 501c4 status, and under that they're supposed to have more than half of their activity be non-political, Franken said. That's pretty hinky. I mean, they really aren't doing that, and that, I think, there needs to be a look at that.
Mm-hmm.
That under the laws that already exist, there are people who should be disclosing who aren't, and I think that is where we're seeing the effect of lack of effective enforcement and just oversight. That was a quote from Al Franken.
I've heard.
So,
go ahead, Mike.
I mean, what you might see is that there was some, connection between some of these senators with the person that was in charge of, that organization. I mean, they had said here in the letter that if the IRS wouldn't act, that they would look at legislation to correct the problem. The issues you have here is the timeline. Tigda found that this started back in 2010. This was a letter that was sent out in 2012. Now, is it possible that 2 years prior, some of these senators, whether it be Schumer or whether it be Franken or whether it be someone else, called the IRS and said, hey, listen, we want you to take a look at these groups. We think there's an issue here, and that the IRS then complied? It's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're not going to know. I mean, certainly it seems to me that according to what Lois Lerner's attorney said, if she's going to take the fifth, we're not going to learn much from her. They're going to have to bring Sarah Graham Ingram in and ask her what happened under her watch, if she had some correspondence with senators, what started this policy back in 2010, what was the emphasis behind it, and so I think eventually, hopefully, we're going to get to the truth.
What happens, Mike, if these people they bring before the committee? What happens if they all lawyer up?
Well, I mean, that tells you something's obviously wrong, and they might have to because there were definitely some infractions here.
Mm-hmm.
The secure laws were broken. Some of this information was illegally disclosed. outside parties. That's a problem. That's a jailable offense, not only a fireable one. And certainly you have some Section 1203B violations where taxpayers were harassed, and that's a fireable offense. So, when FIGDA starts those investigations, which it should, I mean, they're going to find that, certain employees crossed the line and, should and could be fired. And also maybe their supervisors, if they were directed from above, that's going to be another issue. So they're going to have to trace it back to where the orders came from, what were you told to do, who told you to do it, and when, why did you do it? All those questions will have to be answered.
Do you think that they'll start at the bottom, like the employees in Cincinnati that did the paperwork, whatever they do, and then work their way up? And I assume that they're going to put pressure on someone to cut a deal that if they give them what they want, then so on and so forth. But will they start at the bottom? I mean, somebody on the bottom is going to be a fall guy, right?
Well, starting at the bottom makes the most sense. Here's why: you want the employee that had the direct contact with the taxpayer.
Mm-hmm.
And were they acting on their own, or they're acting on orders from above? Did their supervisor tell them to do something? Did it go above the supervisor? Did a memo come out from Washington and say, "Hey, this is our directive. We want you asking these questions. We want you to ask. We want you to get this information from these certain groups." Mm. That's what you need to find out, and then you're going to track it back up the line.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because that's the only way you're going to find out who was the responsible party in doing this.
This could go on a long, long time, couldn't it?
It could. I mean, what it's going to come down to is the Treasury Inspector General's office going to do this kind of investigation? Are they going to look for 1203B violations? Are they going to make it an issue? Or are they going to leave it at this report and end it there?
What about some of the higher officials, like the former head of the IRS that testified today? And what about Obama's counsel that knew this was going on but supposedly never informed the president? Have these people committed a crime? Well,
not necessarily. I mean, not informing the president is not a crime. What the crime is going to be is lying to Congress about it. I mean, there were certain officials that stated a year ago they didn't know this wasn't happening, this wasn't going on. That turned out to be a total lie. So that's why certain people like Lois Lerner decide to lawyer up. Mm-hmm. Because now that it's come out that it was known and it's been going on since 2010, and you said it never happened, that's a problem. Really, what they have to do is they really have to get to this person. She has to testify, who was in charge of, she was the commissioner of the Office for Tax-Exempt Organizations from 2009 to 2012, and that's Sarah England. And I don't know when she's going to testify, but that's the one that they have to get to. And they're talking to people like, Miller, who became the acting commissioner a couple of months ago. Well, it's long after the horse was out of the barn. Mm-hmm. I mean, and Shulman, even though he was the commissioner, he wasn't the one that was going to make those decisions. And you're not going to get a letter from the commissioner of the IRS telling agents in the field what to do.
Right.
You don't do that. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So you got to get to the responsible party. And the FIGDA report, again, clearly states it was Washington, the Office of Tax-Exempt Organizations. That's where they put the blame. So now we got to talk to that person that was in charge of that organization when this happened, and that was from 2010 on, and certainly that would be Sarah Hall Ingram. So she got a big promotion. She moved on, but she's definitely the person that had to have some responsibility here. based on, again, the Tigger report.
Go ahead.
That's their.
I know that, and I've heard, I don't know, the last week or so, she's going to be the lady that's responsible for policing Obamacare, right?
That's correct. Right. They give her a big bonus and put her in charge of the Affordable Care Act division, which is a new division that's starting up within the IRS to bill everybody that doesn't have health insurance starting next year.
And the last time you were on, we talked about all the stuff that this Obamacare is made up of, and it's not good stuff. How is the IR? I mean, with the power and the authority that they already have, now you're going to have another group of IRS people that's going to police Obamacare. Man, it's going to get even uglier. And on top of that, with this scandal, how in the world are they going to do this?
Well, I mean, Obamacare, in my opinion, is bad law. It's 1.7 in new taxes, 1.7 trillion in new taxes. It makes healthcare more expensive, not less expensive. It's a bureaucratic nightmare. It's going to add to the layers of government. It's going to give the IRS the ability to take your refunds if you don't pay this tax. What's going to happen, essentially, my understanding is the way it's going to be set up is in 2014, your W-2s are going to have additional information relating to your health care, whether you have a health insurance plan or whether you don't. If you don't, the IRS is going to send you a letter. The letter is going to say, according to our records, you don't have health insurance. As a result of not having health insurance, you need to pay the following amount of tax, Obamacare tax. You have 30 days to reply. Within those 30 days, if you send them proof that you do, in fact, have health insurance, that bill should be negated and dropped. If you do not reply within the 30 days, then you are going to be assessed for that tax. Now, what will happen is this is different than owing the IRS regular money because, according to the legislation, there should be no interest associated with it, and there should be no penalty associated with it. So let's say it's just a flat, they're going to assess you a flat $675. Mm-hmm. That'll sit in the IRS computer until such time that you go and file for a refund. When you file for a refund in the following year, let's say you were supposed to get, $700, they're going to take $675, send you a check for $25, and say, okay, we took out the Obamacare tax, and this is what's remaining.
And there's going to be scores of people that says, do what? There's going to be
so many people that voted for Obama, thought that this was free health care for everybody. When they start getting hit with this tax, it's going to be a nightmare because it's really going to affect the poorest among us. The people that get the earned income credit, that credit, they will take out that Obamacare tax and send them the remainder. So everybody's going to get less money back, especially people that don't have money and rely on stuff like the earned income credit to help them get along. So this is going to be a real shocker for most everybody, starting in 2014. That's why they put in. Right, I think this is the third time that they've. The Congress has approved a measure to appeal Obamacare because it's so expensive, ups the cost of health care, causes a bureaucratic nightmare, and really isn't helping people. It's just not helping. It's just forcing them to get insurance. And, some people don't need it. Some people don't want it. Some people, can just get a catastrophic plan and now, not worry about it. This basically tells everybody you have to get insurance. And if you don't, we will penalize you.
So is everybody going to be penalized if they don't have insurance, Mike?
Yeah, everybody who does it, basically, it's 2%. So if you make $50,000, you're going to get a tax bill for $1,000. In addition to your Social Security taxes, your Medicare taxes, now you're going to have to deal with a $1,000 bill from Obamacare.
Wow.
I mean, it affects everybody in so many ways because starting this year, if you sell your house, they hit you with an extra Medicare tax of 3.8% to fund this monstrosity.
Really?
Yes. If you have stocks, if you make a lot of money in stocks, they're going to take 3.8% off your stock money and put it through Obamacare. And it's one of these taxes you don't even get a benefit for. So you can't even deduct it on your Schedule A itemized deductions. I mean, it's just like the Social Security tax, an extra 3.8%. So everybody's going to be affected by this thing, and it's going to cause economic havoc throughout the country because, you know, the economy has been terrible, you know, since Bush was in office.
Uh-huh.
So last 5 or 6 years, it's been absolutely horrible. And this is guaranteed to stop growth because now people are going to have less money. Not only did their marginal tax rates go up, but the Obamacare taxes are going to start coming in. So you're going to pay more and more to the federal government. You're going to get less and less. Matter of fact, if you have good health insurance, you're going to get hit with a Cadillac tax of 40%, you know, starting in 2014, 2015, that area, where they say, hey, your plan is too good, so we're going to tax you if you want to keep it. Right?
Man, I mean, where did I hear last week or so that there are so many people in this country? Somebody did a poll, and the number was really high, that so many people in this country have no clue, no idea what this Obamacare is, much less what it's going to do to them. This thing is insane. Could you tell us one more time, because that blew my socks off. If you sell your house, you're going to have to pay what, 3.7?
3.8%.
3.8%. That's additional tax.
Additional tax, right? Stocks, house sales. I mean, you know, it's starting this year. If you have a capital asset, anything over $250,000, you're going to get hit with this tax, and it's going to affect a lot of people. A lot of people. And once it starts affecting people, that's when people are going to open their eyes and goes, what is this? This is ridiculous. I mean, I think even the Democrats are going to realize this is just bad law, especially though when it starts affecting the low-income people in their districts, and they start getting these tax bills from the IRS going, my God, what is this? You know, now I got to pay the IRS extra money because I can't even afford insurance, and now they want money. You know, it's going to cause a lot of problems.
Is there any case where someone wouldn't be able to pay, whether it's the $600 and whatever dollars or even more? Is there any case where someone wouldn't be able to pay it?
Well, yeah. How they set this up was it's more like a passive tax. They're not going to take any aggressive action against you. You're not going to have it's not going to go to an RO or another function of the IRS where they seize or levy your account or anything like that. If you don't have the money, you can't afford to pay it. It just sits there and waits for you to claim a refund from them, and then they'll take the money from the refund that's due you.
Uh-huh.
That's how it's supposed to be set up because, you know, it wasn't going to get through with, you know, penalties and interest and all that stuff on this tax that they created in thin air just because you don't have something, you know. And it is shocking to me that, you know, the way they passed this, that, you know, it's going to affect hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions of people. And again, it's going to hurt the poorest among us.
Mm-hmm. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any comments or questions for Mr. Mike Vilardi, call us at 302-497-3414. And we'll see if Mike can answer them. I'll bet he can. So with all this mess that we got on with this scandal, and then with Obamacare coming down the pike around the corner. Every state hasn't implemented whatever they're supposed to implement yet, have they?
No, a lot of states decided to opt out. They don't want to get involved in this because it's a monstrosity.
What happens now? I mean, if I'm a state and I say, nah, I'm not going to do whatever I'm going to do, what happens then?
Well, I mean, then the government's going to have to, set up its own exchanges. I mean, essentially what I think they'll end up doing is basically expanding Medicaid so everyone can kind of fit in and get Medicaid coverage, I mean, they have Medicaid, they have Medicare already. So they're going to, but the problem with Obamacare is when you read the law, there's certain things in it. Like, let's say someone doesn't have insurance, you're going to be covered by the government plan, which is an extension of Medicaid, essentially. Well, they require you to take the RFID chip. So if you have a baby that's born and you go to the hospital, they want to be able to chip that baby. It's on page 1004 of the Obamacare Act, Affordable Care Act. Now all of a sudden your child's getting a chip because you didn't have you didn't have that part of their program.
Wow, say that again, Mike.
Sure, on page 1004, if you take of the Affordable Care Act, when you take their plan, let's say a couple comes in, they have no health insurance, they have a baby, and they join the government plan. The government has the right to put an RFID chip in the baby.
Oh
now they're doing this. They're saying that by doing this, that if there's an accident or there's a car crash, that the first responders will be able to to read the chip. They'll know the blood type of the person. They'll know all their medical history, and that it could save lives. That's what they're saying. Now, what they're not saying is with that chip, they could also track you wherever you are.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now, the government, this is just an aside, back in 2007, when I was with them, they went to what's called smart badges, okay, where the back of the badge, they have an implanted chip. Now, the purpose of this was so that when you was a federal agent carrying your firearm on a plane, that at the airport they'd have it set up, they could read the chip and they could positively identify you so that, there's no stolen identification. If somebody were to steal my badge and I would report the badge stolen, they'd be able to find out where the badge was and locate it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But at that time, until the time I left, which was 3 years later, they never got the equipment into the airports, to read everything.
Mm-hmm.
But every year they would read the chips, and basically your picture would come up, your information, who you work for, who your supervisor was, your phone number, all the essential information relating to your job. So the technology is there. They want to use that technology for healthcare purposes, and so when you give up your private health plan, your healthcare plan, which essentially what I think Obamacare is trying to do is put everybody under one system, one government plan. That's why they have a Cadillac tax where they make it painful for you to keep your insurance. And then there's going to be taxes on the insurance companies. There's taxes on medical equipment. There's taxes on pharmaceuticals. There's so many taxes associated with this that it's going to cause the cost of health care to skyrocket over the next couple of years. And it's going to be very difficult for you to keep your own plan unless this thing is repealed. And that's why 3 times Congress has put a bill in place to repeal Obamacare. Now, of course, with a Democratic Senate, it's probably not going to make it through the Senate. And certainly, President Obama is not going to sign the repeal of the health care law that he got pushed through in 2010.
What about government employees and Congress members and cabinet members, so on and so forth? Are they going to be under this Obamacare mess?
Well, of course, Congress exempted themselves from the Affordable Care Act. Okay. For government employees, no. They will end up paying that Cadillac tax probably down the road in a couple of years,
uh-huh.
where, just to keep their own, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, or whatever it might be that they have.
What will, of course, if you've got a good plan and then you got to pay an additional 40% tax on your good plan isn't going to stick around with you much longer. What's that going to do to the insurance companies?
Well, basically, it's going to destroy the insurance companies. I mean, there's a couple of things that are in place that are going to be very harmful to the insurance companies. Right now, insurance companies starting this year have to refund part of your premiums if you did not, didn't lay out X amount of dollars providing your, in expenses to your doctors and to other healthcare things. So it's like they have to rebate to you, part of what you paid in. Now, the only problem with that is the people that the insurance companies lay out a lot of money for, okay, they're now in the hole because they have to rebate to the other people. So it makes it very difficult for the insurance companies to make money by doing that.
When we yeah, man, this thing makes me stutter, Mike. When we file our income tax next year, you said we're going to have additional information on the W-2.
Yeah, that'll be in 2014, right?
So that means that there's going to be more questions about our health insurance or whatever on the tax returns now, right?
Well, what's going to happen is on the W-2, the employer is going to be required to note whether they provide health insurance for you or not.
Uh-huh.
And that'll allow the IRS, when they're told that no health insurance is provided, if there's no evidence that you have health insurance, they will send you a letter, basically a 30-day letter stating, hey, according to our records, you do not have health insurance, therefore you're subject to the following amount of tax through the Affordable Care Act. If you do have insurance, you have 30 days to send us evidence of that insurance. Otherwise, this tax will be assessed.
So these exchanges that the states are supposed to set up, and a lot of them's not doing it, that's like shopping for insurance? Is that what it is in a simple term?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So that you could go and get, some sort of affordable insurance.
When you get it, is it going to be affordable, or is it going to knock someone's socks off too?
Well, I mean, the problem with this whole thing is twofold. One is the amount of taxes that the taxes that are going forth to make this thing happen are astronomical, $1.7 trillion in new taxes. They're taxing pharmaceutical companies that make pharmaceuticals outside of America. So Canada, Mexico, any of those cheap medicines we got coming in are going to skyrocket. They started taxing medical equipment manufacturers. Then they had to repeal it because the medical equipment companies had to lay off 140,000 employees because of the tax. So, there are so many issues. Then you're going to have all these businesses that are going to go under or going to have to convert to part-time employees so that they don't have to provide insurance for everybody because they can't afford to do it. It just becomes, it's one nightmare after the other. It wasn't well thought out. It was pushed through on a Democratic vote only. And as a result, it's just bad law.
Now, is it wow? Is the law that employers with 50 or more workers have to provide insurance?
Yeah, that's what's in the Affordable Care Act. So what's happening now is some of these businesses that are medium-sized businesses are looking to make their full-time employees part-time because they simply can't afford to give health insurance to everybody.
Uh-huh.
Just can't afford it. And that's the problem when you have these kind of onerous type regulations. You just bankrupt. I mean, there's no thought to the businessman.
Wow. This chip thing that really that really scares me, Mike. To think that our government would have that much power, that much authority to say, okay. I mean, we're we're right on the edge of what I don't even know what it's called, insanity. Who would have ever thunk in America that they would have these chips, these chips available? And, you know, whether they start it today or whether it's 2 years from now, their plan is that people are going to be chipped, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that the American people, when they saw that bill go through, that's why they decided a divided government is a better government. And that's why I think the Democrats got voted out of Congress and the Republicans were able to take over and for the last 4 years have maintained it. And hopefully maybe in 2000. But it's going to be very difficult. I mean, this guy is very much to the left. He has an extreme leftist agenda. He's a Marxist. I mean, and there's no better way to bankrupt this country than socialized medicine.
Wow. Part of it has already been implemented in this year, and if it has, what parts are already in action?
Well, yeah, like I said, the medical manufacturer's tax went into effect, and then it had to be repealed because of the loss of jobs. This year, what we're going to see is the following. They revised the Schedule A itemized deduction. So last year, you were able to, if you had $10,000 in medical expenses and you made $100,000 a year, you were able to take a $2,500 deduction. Mm-hmm. This year, under Obamacare, you could take zero. Last year, if you were going to have a major operation, you could have put, let's say if you made $100,000, you could have put $30,000 in a medical savings account so you could have paid for the operation. This year, under Obamacare, you're limited to $2,500 in a medical savings account. So
$2,500?
Yeah, that's it. You lost your medical deduction.
Wow.
So it makes it more expensive.
God. Okay, I'm sorry I interrupted you, Mike.
No, but what the effect of Obamacare that it's having is to make health care more expensive, not less expensive. Mm-hmm. And that's the real issue. So we're seeing, I mean, since this passed, health premiums haven't gone down, they've gone up.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's really not affordable. And with all these extra taxes, you know, now you sell your home for $500,000. Hey, you got to pay this 3.8% tax. You make $1 million in stocks, you got to give the government an extra 3.8%. You know, there's all these incremental taxes that just make it harder and harder for people to pay. And if you're poor and you don't have any money, then you're going to get hit in 2014 with this tax, which it's beyond me how the Supreme Court ruled that constitutional, but they did. And basically, they're able to force you to have health insurance whether you want it or not. I mean, you should have a choice of how you want to spend your money, but you don't.
Ladies and gentlemen, go to Mike Vilardi, VILARDIEA.com, Mike Vilardi, EA.com, or call 888 is it 873, Mike?
Yes, it's 873-8825.
8825. If you have any questions, any problems with the IRS, anything that has to do with your taxes, so on and so forth, you get a hold of Mr. Vilardi, and I'll give you that number and I'll give you that website several more times tonight, even after we let Mike go. This whole thing, Mike, I was thinking when you were saying about, the Supreme Court said, yeah, this is cool, because of Mr. Roberts, but nonetheless, if they can force us into having to participate in this is only the beginning. If they can force you to do that, what else is coming down the road?
Well, this is huge because this is going to take a seventh of the economy, put it under government control. I mean, certainly this was tried when Clinton was president. It failed miserably. They were able to get it through because they controlled all aspects of government for a short period of time, those 2 years that they were in power. Mm-hmm. And this is what he accomplished. And he hasn't accomplished anything on the way of jobs, that's for sure. And the economy has been terrible. And, this is just a nightmare of legislation. It's a nightmare. And unfortunately, if it's allowed to stand, it'll probably bankrupt our country.
Well, that's just all we need. But yet it's as plain as the nose on our face. Here's my thing, Mike, and I don't know if you even have an answer for it. I sit sometimes and I ponder. Can people actually be this blind? And for lack of a better term, I'm going to be 65 in September. So it doesn't bother me too much what I say anymore. Can people actually be this thick-headed? I mean, to fall for this stuff. I mean, I know they did, but I mean, are they that thick-headed that they can't see what's going on in front of them?
Well, you know what happens, George, is this. They say the devil is in the details.
Yes.
It's presented about as being the Affordable Care Act, but it's really not affordable. You got to look at the details. You look at the taxes. You look at what it's going to cost. You look at the luxury tax, basically, this Cadillac tax they put on having your own plant. When it starts to be implemented, people say, "My God, that's not what I thought it was at all." They make it come across as we have this great idea. We're going to give everybody insurance. We're going to help the poor. It's going to be wonderful. And in reality, they're taxing everybody, making it's like saying I'm going to feed the hungry, and then contracting with McDonald's to buy cheeseburgers at $35 a pop.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's just not cost effective to do it, and that's what this is. It's not cost effective to do it, and really, my concept, if you really wanted to help the poor or have affordable health care, there's an easier way to do it. My solution would be this: you give out full scholarships to state schools, medical schools. You take the best students, say, "Hey, listen, we're going to pay you tuition, and you're going to give you a job when you come out. But if we give you this full scholarship for 4 years, you got to work for us for 4 years." Mm-hmm. Pay them a salary, $50,000-$75,000 a year, and where they have the university, they have reasonable health care, not free health care, but reasonable health care. Because everybody has to pay something. If it's free, people take advantage of it. If you say, "Hey, we're going to charge you $20 for a doctor visit," it's going to be $100 a month. That's what it's going to cost you. You're going to get the best doctors. You're going to get excellent care. And throughout all these states, I'm sure you'll have a lot of doctors who want to come out of the medical school without any kind of loans or encumbrances. It will be an opportunity for them to do it. They won't have to worry about malpractice insurance because the state will cover that. They'll work for the state for the 4 years, and then after that they can go on their own. But, something like that would make a lot more sense to me than something like this, where you're going to take away people's medical deductions, take away their ability to put money into their medical savings account if they need a big operation, take away their right to keep their own plan without paying an extra tax for it, and then to tax all, people's homes when they sell them, their stock investments when they sell them, pharmaceuticals to create more expensive pharmacy prices. That doesn't make any sense to me. That's more about control than it is about giving people good health care at a reasonable price.
Mm-hmm. Am I correct in saying, did I read somewhere that the people that makes any kind of medical thing, even those sticks that the doctor puts on your tongue and makes you say the manufacturers that make them, are they taxed too?
Yeah, that was they had to put something through Congress to repeal that, because that whole industry, there was 140,000 jobs lost because of that tax.
Wow.
And it became so onerous that they had to scale it back so that they wouldn't kill the industry that made medical equipment. I mean, that's really how ill-advised and how ill-thought out this whole thing was. As we go through it, we just keep seeing, nightmare after nightmare with different sections of this act.
I can still see Nancy Pelosi standing there with that smirk on her face that she calls a smile, saying, "You have to pass it before we know what's in it." And I'm thinking, right there, bells and whistles and sirens and rockets and machine guns and all kind of things should have been going off in people's heads when that woman said that. And they should have stormed Washington.
Right. I mean, right. How stupid is that? We're going to read it after we pass it. I mean, and now that we're reading it, we're finding out just what a nightmare it really is, and it never should have been passed. And, President Obama expended all his political capital to get it done. Not one single Republican, whether it be a senator or a congressman, voted for this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not one. And he had a very tough time. He had to basically, buy out a lot of the Democrats, give them some things that they wanted to get them to go along with it.
Right. Now,
so,
the health and what, I can't say her name right, the Secretary of Health, she can make rules as she goes along. Is that right?
Well, I mean, there's language in there that gives discretion to government officials to do something. Like it says that the Secretary of the Treasury has the right to put any information he so desires on those RFID chips once they're printed, in addition to medical information. So he could put other information on those chips, and they reserve the right to do that.
Wow.
So there's all these little hidden things that are hidden in Obamacare that make it, really, really dangerous and make it super costly. Like I said, it's like going to McDonald's and contracting with them for $35 cheeseburgers to feed the poor. It's just not cost effective. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's going to ration health care, make it less accessible, not more, and just create a nightmare when none needed to exist.
Mike, are we losing doctors?
Well, I think we certainly will over the next couple of years, because they're not going to get compensated, and it's going to become a problem. It's not going to be worth it, their time or their effort to be a doctor anymore. It's going to cause a shortage, and it's going to cause a problem. And I think, like I said, that's why Congress already has put in, this is the third time that they've put in legislation to repeal Obamacare. The problem is, as long as you have a democratically led Senate, and the president that signed it into law, it's probably not going to get done. I don't think they're going to get a veto-proof majority to pass legislation in 2014. But who knows? I mean, once people start seeing how bad this is in 2014, it might just happen.
I've got one more thing, Mike, before I let you go. Death panels. Now, a long time ago, when they were debating this whole mess or telling us what they wanted us to hear, trying to sell this thing, there would be no death panels. I mean, they went berserk when Sarah Palin mentioned them. But there is. There is. Isn't it called iPad?
Well, you see, that's one of the reasons why I think people don't want to sign up on the government plan, too, because it gives too much control to the government officials.
Mm-hmm.
And that becomes a big issue, is the control that these bureaucrats have over your health care.
Yeah.
They're going to turn, you don't need a second, you should only need two tests, a test for, congestive heart failure or whatever they might, they're going to come and they're going to limit, what your doctor can do, what he can't do, under their plan. And so they're looking to push people under their plan. But, a lot of this starts in 2014. The health insurance provider fee starts in 2014, which is an annual fee on health insurance providers based on each company's share of the total market. You're supposed to raise $60 billion, result in a $60 billion tax on these health insurance companies. Then there's the mandate penalties, which start in 2014. If you don't have health insurance, you're going to get the Cadillac tax starts in 2018.
We got a caller, Mike. Hold on for just a second. Good evening. Welcome. Thank you for calling the George Espinlaub Show. Who we got here?
Cup of coffee, George.
Hey, how are you?
I'm well. I just want to tell Ed Posse hello.
Yeah, we had her on last night.
Last night?
Yes, we had her on last night.
Oh, my. How in the world? That was communicated to me as being, I got a big write-up on it. Someone wrote it up for me.
Mm-hmm.
As to being tonight.
No, it was last night, Major.
Well, how are you, George?
I'm doing good. I've got a man that used to work for the IRS on the criminal side on the air tonight. If you got any tax questions or anything about Obamacare that you want to find out, this is the man to ask.
I don't, but I wanted to tell you a piece of news. One of the Unshackled members died. My very best friend, Dr. Bill Behrens, a Marine evangelist. He and I were in Vietnam together. We preached all over America together, and his story's on Unshackled as well. And he died last Thursday morning at 2 o'clock of a massive heart attack. He had a quadruple bypass, never said a word about it, just said his neck was hurting him a little bit. But he went home to be with the Lord. And I just wanted to make sure, if you'd announced that all over the world, he had many people that loved him and cared for him.
I sure will. And I'll pass that word on to Flossie, too, if that's all right.
Yeah, he was my best friend. He had 103 prize fights, George. He won 102.
That's not a bad record, is it?
Yeah, he said the only one he lost it was a political thing. They was over in Pittsburgh. They gave it to the guy instead of him. But he whipped everybody in Pennsylvania. I can tell you that. He's a great guy, great Christian man. Loved the Lord with all his heart. And I wanted to pass that on to you. You can pass that on to Flossie.
I sure will, Major.
So you're doing well? Your program doing well?
Yes, sir. We're doing well, and we're doing gooder all the time.
Well, that's right. That's good Southern term, gooder.
Yeah, gooder.
Gooder is good. Hey, the IRS guy, that's going to be interesting to that gal tomorrow who's going to plead the fifth.
Yeah, because Mike was telling me that she lawyered up and her lips are sealed.
Well, I tell you what, there needs to come a motion from the floor to fire her.
Mm-hmm.
We can't have anyone working in the IRS who'll plead the fifth.
You're right.
Yeah, but what's right today isn't getting done, though.
Exactly.
We got the Gestapo up there, it seems like. The Waffen-SS, and it just seems like that everything is out of norm and out of shape.
Mm-hmm. What
we would expect, and even these guys, that guy with the what's his name, Miller? He had a bouquet on top of his head. It looked like he'd had a permanent that morning, and he kept saying, I don't know, and they let him go with that stuff,
You're right.
And it just really what the American people are expecting, they're not getting.
Exactly.
Our whole system, right from the top down to the bottom, it seems like it's corrupt. And
Hey, Major, could I put you on with Mr. Vilardi?
Sure.
Okay, let's try this. Mike, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Major, are you there? Oh, sometimes I amaze myself, I'll tell you. Let me see what I got here. Sometimes I amaze myself, Mike. Do we have you on here, Major, or did I lose you? I must have lost him. Anyways, that was Major Kofty.
Okay.
And he was on my show. And we had a lady on last night who is the director of a program that we air entitled Unshackled that comes out of Chicago, Illinois. And he thought that she was on tonight instead of last night. So that's what took me so long to get back to you. And I thought I'd bring him with me, but someday they're gonna show me exactly how to do this thing, because when we practice this off the air, works wonderful, and then when you get it going, I'll either move something one way or another. But I don't know. I must have lost the Major. And Major, if you're listening, please forgive me. But Mike, I was asking you about the death panel, and you was talking about the control of the government when it comes to our health.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the way this thing was orchestrated was to kind of get everybody to go into the government plan where they can control everything. And like I said, those bureaucrats will have the authority to say, hey, we're going to limit you to 2 tests, 3 tests, whatever they think is appropriate, even though they're not doctors and even though they're not qualified. So, unfortunately, people are probably going to want to stay in their own insurance plan, if they have a good one especially. And, if Obamacare sticks, and I don't know if it's going to make it through 2018 or not. I hope not. But that's the year that they'll start hitting you with those Cadillac taxes. Meanwhile, everything else really starts getting implemented this year and next.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, and countrymen, and anyone else that will listen to me, call this man, Mr. Mike Vilardi. Go to his website, MikeVilardiEA.com. That's Mike Vilardi, VILARDI, and then EA.com. Or call him, 888-873-8825. And he'll answer your questions. If you have any problems whatsoever, or you're dealing with the IRS, this is the man to call, and this is the man to contact. Mike, it's been a pleasure, buddy.
Likewise, George. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, listen, man, give me a call every now and then. Throw me an email, but stay in touch with me. Will you do that?
Absolutely.
All right, buddy. We're praying for you up here.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate that. Be well.
All right, Mikey. See you later.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. I guess I lost the Major. I'm always doing something. My goodness gracious. You know, we did this a couple times in the afternoon. I said, oh, yeah, man, I got it now. And it's very simple, you know. It's very simple, but goodness gracious sakes alive, Aunt Sally. I promise, ladies and gentlemen, I promise, boys and girls, I promise I'm going to get this thing right if it's the last thing I do. I'll be back in just a minute. Sorry for messing it up again.
Rising in the middle of the night, you can feel the heat just about midnight. Close your eyes, turn off your mind. You might see some things that you could never find. There are dark forms lying all along this road. They hold secrets you may never know. Makes you wanna run, but time stands still. Time stands still beneath the midnight sun. The universe is gone beneath the midnight sun. Everything's undone beneath the midnight sun. Everything is one beneath the midnight sun. Don't worry about where you are. Don't feel alone. Just follow the path. You just follow.
Let me see if I can do this right now. Major Coffee, I'll bet that's you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'd say that, but somehow we got disconnected.
Yeah, we did. So anyhow,
Let me let you go because I'm driving now, and I probably wouldn't do the program justice. I'm keeping my eyes on the traffic, and
listen,
but I just say I appreciate you and thank you for the opportunity to be a part of your show, and I think it's a great thing that you've instituted, and I hope the IRS guy, is he on Unshackled as well?
no, no. This is just a fellow that we hooked up with. I don't know, a year or so ago, and he drops in on us every now and then and keeps us up to pace. He retired from the IRS. He worked 22 years on the criminal side of the thing, and then he started his own business. He's what they call an enrolled agent, that if you have some kind of tax problem or...
Well, he needs to get back in there right now on the criminal side of things.
Yeah, I'll say. And
arrest a bunch of those people, you know.
Uh-huh.
You see that revelation today that the White House did know. They talked about it, fabricated their answers, and everything about it. It just really came out today. Did you hear about the commanding general at Fort Jackson was released today?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he assaulted a woman and then beat her up, apparently.
Oh, my goodness.
It's all going all over the place, you know, and things are happening. I mean, you never before had a general officer that did something like that, or a colonel or a master sergeant.
No.
You just didn't do it. You were too proud of getting where you had gotten to throw it all away for something like that. And, well, listen, let me let you go and tell that IRS guy we appreciated his years of service, and there was a time when it was such an honorable facet of the government. It was like a used car salesman. It was always cursed, but they really did a good job, and I appreciate it. And so pass that on to him, please. And you as well.
Yes, sir.
Kudos to you, George.
Thank you, Major. Hey, stay in touch with me.
I will. Hey, Lord bless you now.
Same to you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, all things work out pretty good. Espenlaub, you are a trip. My mom, if my mom was in the studio tonight, she'd smack me right upside the head because That's just the way she is. And she'd tell me, look, they told you how to do it. They showed you how to do it. You did it right. Now, why did you mess it up that time? But that's what my mom would say. She got some fast hands. I'm telling you. I mean, she can poke you 6 times, and you didn't even know you got hit until the 7th one, and then it all starts to hurt, all at the same time. My goodness gracious! I'll be back. I promise. I'll be back.
Open up your window inside. Make me wanna have one around. Been bankrupt of my luck for some time. I need someone clean to throw my bones down. Don't need to make you love me, just shine down. Don't wanna make you trust me, just shine down. Never have to say sorry, just shine down. Let these cold times melt through the ground. Let these cold times melt through the ground. You're not too young to swallow some pain. I know this from the lines on your hands. You're a detour in a lost memory. My reason to forget perfect plans. You need to make you love me, just shine down. Don't wanna make you trust me, just shine down. Never have to say sorry, just shine down. And let these cold times melt through the ground. Let these cold times melt through the ground. If you didn't want my heart, that's alright. Been lost in the mail for some time. Through the coldest season I've ever known. You still make like you're some window sunshine. Don't need to make you love me, just shine down. Don't wanna make you trust me, just shine down. Never have to say sorry, just shine down. And let these cold times melt through the ground. Let these cold times melt through the ground. Let these cold times melt through the ground. Let these cold times melt through the ground.
And you're listening to the George Espinlove Show that comes to you Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Spreaker.com. We've had a delightful night. It's always fun when my friend Mike Vilardi comes. He worked inside the IRS for 22 years on the criminal side of things. And now he has his own business since he retired. And he is what they call an enrolled agent, which means that he has the ability to take care of your tax problems, anything that might be wrong with your return, and the IRS sends you one of them warm and fuzzy little letters that says you are in deep stuff. You know what I mean? Mike is the man to call, and you can call him at, let me get my piece of paper here. You can call Mike at 888-873-8825. And you can also go to his website, Mike Vilardi, MikeVilardi, and then EA, all one thing, MikeVilardiEA.com. He's the man you need on your side. So look him up. I know he's got the answers for you. I want to thank my friend Major Kofty, who called and maybe it was my fault because I notified the major yesterday that Flossie McNeil would be with us last night. She is the director of Unshackled that we air out of Chicago, and she was with us last night. And for you that don't know, Major Chuck Coffey his story was told on Unshackled a number of years ago of how he gave his heart to the Lord when he was in the Marine Corps. He retired as a major. He was a Mustanger, what we called a Mustanger, a man that was in the enlisted ranks and became an officer. Some of the best officers were Mustangers. But nonetheless, he said that he would call, and I guess maybe I put the wrong date on. Maybe I said the wrong thing, that he got the impression that it was tonight instead of last night. But anyhow, thank you, Major, for calling. It was a real pleasure. Only radio, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, whichever way things go, you just keep on going. And so we had a delightful time with our guest, Mr. Mike Vilardi, and we had a wonderful time when the Major called in. In fact, he called in. I was going to hook him up so he could talk to Mr. Vilardi, and, yep, Espinlaw blew that one. So that was my fault, but then the Major called back. I know. I got a text from my mom while the music was playing, and she said that I'm going to be shown how to do this one more time tomorrow. Going to go through a dry run again. I don't know how many of them we've been through, and I better get it right this time. So when my mom says I better get it right, you can rest assured I better get it right. I am, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to get it right if it's the last thing I do. I got it right a couple times. Not many, but I've got it right a couple times. And I get one more chance. That's what she said. I get one more chance. So, all right, my mom. Wow. Hey, listen, tomorrow night we've got two directions that we can go, and we haven't decided. We're going to have to talk it over. And yes, we do. We talk things over here at the George Espinlaub Show. But there's two directions that we can go, and we're not sure which direction we're going to go, and we'll probably not know which direction we're going to go until right before we go on the show. Well, we'd like to make our decision a little sooner so you could know what's going on. But I'm not promising anything. But we've got two directions that we could go. We'll pick one of them, and we'll go in that direction tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here in our world, live at the Funny Farm in the Funny Farm Radio Studio. Thursday night, if you was with us last Friday night, we had the Remus Tucker Band Friday Night Jam from Colorado, from Denver, Colorado. And lo and behold, Remus Tucker himself called in. And we have set it up that him and some of the band members will be with us Thursday evening, right here on the George Espinlaub Show. So if you missed last Friday night's show, go back to the archives and just listen to it. I mean, it was a wonderful show. We highlighted the Remus Tucker Band, and I mean, we're going to have them on Thursday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So you tune in. And this is some of what you're going to hear.
My locks and make certain I look fine. Oh yeah. she loves the nightlife, the high life way, the honky tonk and rock and roll. You know she loves the nightlife, the high life way, the honky tonk and rock and roll.
Remus Tucker Band, and they'll be with us Thursday night. That is the day after tomorrow, as far as I know. Thursday night, the Remus Tucker Band will be with us at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Spreaker.com. Go to their website, RemusTucker.com, RemusTucker.com. You will have a ball, and you can listen to the music. You can purchase the music. You can read all about it, RemusTucker.com. Wow. One more time, thank you, Mike Vilardi, my friend, for being with us tonight. Call Mike if you need tax help. If you need help, the IRS is bumping up against you. Give him a call. 888-873-8825. Or go to MikeVilardiEA.com. And if you forget all that and you need to get up with Mike Vilardi, you get a hold of me. George C.E., that's George C.E. at Comcast.net. George C.E. at Comcast.net, and I will be sure to point you in the right direction. It's been fun tonight, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of information, a lot of scary stuff that Mike told us about, but lo and behold, it is happening, and we as Americans, we need to shake ourselves. I've said it countless times. We need to shake ourselves, take the scales from our eyes, unplug our ears, and stand up and remember it's still we the people. This is our country. Those people that's in Washington, they work for us, we the people. They don't lord over us. They work for us. So keep that in mind. I hope that you tune in tomorrow night. Same time, same station, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the George Espinlaub Show. Come on into our world. It's safer in here than it is in yours, and we have a whole lot more fun. So wherever you're at, ladies and gentlemen, whatever it is, it might be nighttime. If it is, you have a great night. It might already be tomorrow. So if it is, then you have a very fine day. But regardless of what it is and where you're at, until tomorrow night, this is George Espinlaub challenging you. Be kind one to another. Stay safe. Don't take no wooden nickels. And so, to all of our friends down the street, around the corner, across this great nation, and around the world, until tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, and countrymen. Good night, everybody.